Hello friends! Welcome back to day 4 as we are celebrating Black Scientists as our last week of scheduled time together. We're going to take a little bit time off after this week and then we'll get back into it and we'll let our patrons know what is going on and what our plans are in terms of maybe online summer camps or maybe some classes that you guys can take, kind of like what we've been doing now. And if you want to keep up to date with that information, it's on patreon.com/rosieresearch. And all week we're celebrating Black Scientists. So we've learned about George Washington Carver, who is the father of agriculture, taught us all about crop rotation. We learned about Mae Jemison, who was an amazing doctor in Sierra Leone and Liberia and in the States, and also the first African-American woman to go into space, which is pretty amazing, in orbit for 80 days. And yesterday, we learned about Jewel Plummer Cobb, who helps us treat skin cancers even today. And today we are going to learn about Emmette Chappelle, and he is known as the father of bioluminescence. So we'll learn what that is, and we'll learn about actually how amazing that is and what we can do with it, which is pretty epic. I'm very excited about it. And of course, with all of our days, we're doing simple circuits to sort of celebrate our scientists. So for today's simple circuit, you're going to need our printout about Emmette Chappelle. So it's got his little biography and the simple circuit right on there. You're going to need a battery so that you can power your circuit. You're going to need LEDs in whatever color you choose. I've chosen green because green sort of reminds me of bioluminescence. You're going to need some conductive tape, so copper tape, aluminum tape, those kind of things is what you want. And then you're going to need some non-conductive tape, scotch tape, masking tape, duct tape, those will all work for that. And then if you want to make them pop up like our other ones, you're going to need a pair of scissors. And that's it. It's super easy supplies this week, which is really exciting. So we are going to go over to Evan, figure out who's here that we can say hello to. And just a quick reminder that for our friends who are on YouTube, whose parents might not want you on YouTube, you can always go into our Zoom room and then you can have live chat with us at the same time as we have live chat on YouTube, but you're in Zoom. So it's like more
sandboxing.
Yes, sandboxed for you guys. All right, who do we have with us?
So first up, back in the lead.
Back in the lead.
The brothers like no others.
George and Henry! Hello, George and Henry. It's great to see you boys today. I love it. You guys are always like right there.
And then Callie would like me to let you know that she was here and that she is awesome today.
She is awesome every day. Callie, I'm glad you're here. Hopefully with your awesome markers, too.
She watches a show, her sisters watch a show called Vampirina, and that is her background in Zoom today.
Ooh,
so cool.
Very cool.
Venetia.
Hello! Oh, I'm glad you're here. That makes me happy.
Right back to you.
I know some of our friends, like I think Venetia might be one of them, and Naomi and Kaya and Rohan, they're all on summer vacation now.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
I'm still hanging out.
We still have a whole week left. We're getting there.
We've got Rohan.
Hello, Rohan! Speaking of Rohan, I'm glad you're here today.
And Rohan, he did an extra fancy countdown for us in...
Yes. We had a good countdown?
We had a good countdown. We had every 10 seconds, it looks like.
Nice. Thank you, Rohan. We needed
Griffin's
that.
in the
Hello,
house.
Griffin! Oh, I'm excited. I am so excited that you're here today, Griffin. I hope we get to see you in Zoom. I feel like sometimes you've been coming and we don't see you in Zoom.
We'd love to see your design, too.
I know.
We got Abel in the house.
Hello, Abel! Shout out to Abel, because he got his working all by himself yesterday. First time. Amazing.
First time. That's awesome.
He didn't even have to redo it like he did the day before.
Yeah,
he's like, I mean, all of our kids, you guys are getting really good at making these paper circuits, which is a really cool skill to have. I mean, I don't really know what you'll use it for other than making amazing epic cards, but I feel like it's a good skill. It's a useful skill.
I don't know, knowing how the circuit works.
Yes, I agree.
Power source.
I agree. You guys can all, go change the lights in your houses. No, don't do that.
Don't do
Just
that.
joking. Don't do that.
And always turn off the power. If for some reason you think you should do that. We got Raiden the Man is here.
Yay! Hi, Raiden! Oh, it's so good to see you again. Except for I didn't see you in Zoom yesterday.
Oh. Griffin
okay.
says he's sorry he hasn't been in Zoom.
I know.
But
I feel like some of our friends who do a lot of paper circuits, they like listen to the talk and then they already have their paper circuit done and they're like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
which is totally fine. I just love seeing faces.
We love to see you in Zoom.
Yeah.
Callie got her markers. She's
Yay,
ready to do
she's
some
ready to do
decoration.
some awesome decorations.
And
Fantastic.
Mr. John Goodby in the house.
Hello, John! Yay, I'm glad you're with us today.
I wonder.
Curious if you got those 20 LEDs on.
Yeah, did he get it working?
I don't know.
I don't know. Not even I
We'll
do.
find out.
That is what we have for shout-outs at the moment.
Fantastic. All right. Well,
All right.
let's learn about Emmette Chappelle. So Emmette Chappelle, like all of our other scientists, has an amazing life story. Here's one tidbit, totally not scientific, but about his life that I think is pretty shocking. He did not have electricity in his house until he was 12. I just want to lead with that. Because he's done such amazing things. And until he was 12, there were no lights. There was no, stove you could just turn on. There was no heated water. I mean, he lived in, a rural area with no electricity till he was 12, which I think is cool. And he went to a one-room schoolhouse, so he didn't have, tons of academic opportunities when he was younger, but he really maximized on the stuff that he did have. And actually, after he got out of high school, he got drafted into the Army. So he served our country. And he started serving as an engineer. And then he actually got called to the front lines and got wounded not once, but twice in the line of duty in Italy in World War II. World War II? Yeah, World War II. I'm terrible with my world wars. But I think that's amazing. So he is sort of already a hero. And he hasn't even started his scientific endeavors. I mean, what a life. He's already a hero. He got wounded twice in war, defending our country. So when he got back to help pay for school, he used the GI Bill. He got his bachelor's at University of California, Berkeley. And then he got his master's in a place we're proud of, University of Washington. Go Huskies.
Go Huskies.
And then he got his PhD at Stanford. So he went to some top-notch schools on that GI Bill, which is awesome. And everything he did really focused on biochemistry. And he started doing all of this work. And one time while he was working on airplanes, and I'm not really sure the backstory on this because they don't feel like they go together, but he was working on airplanes and discovered that single-cell organisms convert carbon dioxide to oxygen. I'm really not sure. I tried to research how that connection got made. But apparently his brilliant mind made this connection while working on airplanes. And this actually led him to a job at NASA because it helped us find a way to feed astronauts in space that would also help create oxygen. And then also possibly seed planets where you could create enough oxygen that you could maybe create some sort of an atmosphere that you could start to breathe. So that is pretty cool. Also, we're just starting. I mean, all of the lives, and I think this is probably the truth for anybody's life, is amazing. When you really look into it, there's so many different dimensions and facets to it. So he discovered that these single-cell organisms convert carbon dioxide to oxygen, which you might right now be like, well, of course, plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen, and algae does that too. But when he was a scientist, nobody knew that algae did it. So he discovered that. And because you have that knowledge is because of him, which is cool. So he joined NASA, and he started as an exobiologist and chemist, and that's studying things on other planets. And he became a remote sensing scientist, which is the same thing. It's studying things on other places that you can't. It's not studying something in front of me. It's studying something maybe I'm studying something in Antarctica right now. Or maybe I'm trying to scrape the soil of Mars right now and look at what it looks like. Or
So he was trying to discover what Mars soil might look like from Earth.
Yes.
Without being there.
Well, obviously, nobody's on Mars.
That would seem like that would be hard.
Yeah, that would be hard. So he started working on Viking, which is one of our Mars satellites. And while he was doing this, again, I'm really curious on the backstory. If I could sit down with this man for a little bit and talk to him about these backstories, I would love to. Because somehow, while building a spacecraft, maybe he just gets all of his inspiration while building airplanes and spacecraft? I'm not sure. He discovered 2 chemicals in a firefly. Again, where's the firefly coming in? I'm not sure. But he discovered 2 chemicals in the firefly that when you mix it with animal energy, which we call ATP, which is cellular energy, it actually, those 3 things mixed together glow. And that's called bioluminescence. And he discovered the 2 chemicals that do that. And you can imagine that actually is really powerful as a remote scientist, because you could take those two chemicals up to Mars and mix it with soil. And if there's life forms in that soil, they're creating ATP, and some of that ATP would react with those two chemicals, and you would maybe see it through bioluminescence. So you would maybe see very, very faint light start to happen, which is really cool. I mean, and I really, again, would love to sit down with him and find out how he thought about fireflies while making the Viking
So he figured
aircraft.
out how to make things glow.
He figured out how it works, and then also how to extract the chemicals where you could use it in a different setting.
Whoa.
So there's lots of animals that glow. For example, fireflies. There's also algae. So if you live in the Pacific Northwest with us, there are times, and I remember this from when I was in camp up in like the San Juan Islands, you can drop a rock into the ocean and you will actually see your rock create a trail. So it will glow as it drops down, which is amazing. It glows green. And you can just like throw rocks in and you see it all shimmer, because as the rock hits those bacteria and those algae and those organisms, it actually causes them to do something, and then they use the ATP with those two chemicals and they create light.
So our kids could go out, search on Google, find what
Yes.
the next bioluminescent algae is.
Yes.
And then go make the water glow.
You can go make the water glow. It's really cool if you skip rocks. And you can also look for like bioluminescent bays if you're ever on vacations to places like around the equator. So Puerto Rico, Costa Rica has some. Those are the ones I can think of offhand.
California, I think.
California might have some. I mean, it comes up all the way up into the Puget Sound into Washington State. So it's like, it's everywhere. It has to be a really dark night to see it though. So you need a moonless night, which is a really cool project that you guys can do. And so there's other animals, like today we have the jellyfish that also glows. So that's really, really cool that all these animals do this, and he sort of discovered what two chemicals plus that cellular energy ATP mixes in to make it glow bright. And he had 14 patents, and a bunch of them actually related to him discovering these chemicals in the firefly. So he could use these two chemicals and mix it in water to discover how much bacteria is in the water. That's kind of cool. Or he could use these two chemicals and mix it into maybe a liquid of somebody who's sick, like their urine, and see, is the bacteria in your urine? And if it is, can we treat your urine with like these antibiotics, and will it kill the bacteria? Or what does this one work, or does it not work? So it was a way to see if drug treatments were working, which is really cool. And you could even use it to count the amount of bacteria that you have. So him discovering these organisms that glow was actually really, really useful to us and drug discovery, clean water, and detecting and counting bacteria, which is amazing. So those are some of the highlights of Emmette Chappelle's life. And again, he's somebody I would really like to sit down with.
That's awesome.
I think that would
like,
be cool.
Sounds like that guy was busy, just like
I know.
Jewel was busy, and just like May was
They're all
busy, and
so
just
busy.
like George Washington Carver was
So
busy. Callie said that she tried to go see one of the bioluminescent bays once, but it wasn't dark enough to see.
I know, it's like timing is everything. We tried when we were in Puerto Rico and it was not dark enough either, which is a bummer. All right, so as we start our paper circuit, the first thing I would like to do is just a reminder that we do want to check our batteries, that they have some extra juice and power in them, and make sure our LEDs are working. So if you are new to our paper circuits, the way you're going to do that is you're going to put your LED on your battery. And there's only 4 ways to do this. One way is to put both legs on the top of the battery. Now we're not connecting the top of the battery to the bottom of the battery by doing this. So we don't actually have a circuit. A circuit's a circle that goes from the top out and into the bottom, and then whatever it goes through while it's out here is what we power. So if we are just on the top, it doesn't power anything, my LED doesn't light up. If we go just on the bottom, same thing. I don't have a circuit. I don't go from the top and into the bottom. And then there's 2 ways to hook it up where you have one leg on top and one leg on bottom. One way is to put the short leg on top and the long leg on the bottom, which doesn't light it up. And that's because LEDs are like slides. The electrons slide down it and they light up because they're having so much fun, but they refuse to be rule breakers and climb up that slide. So if you put the long leg of the LED onto the top and the short leg of the LED onto the bottom, you find out that your LED should light up. Now, if it doesn't light up, a couple things could be happening. One, you could have maybe mistaken it and you have the short leg on top. Because it's tricky. The long leg and the short leg are very, very similar in size. So it's tricky. You might have done that. So you could flip it over. But if you flip it over and it still doesn't work, that's telling you either your battery or your LED is not working. So you don't want to use those because you won't be able to make them work. And if you're going to use more than one LED, you want to hook them all up to the battery and make sure that they can all be lit up, because a battery can only light up so many LEDs, and it depends on color and size of your LED. So if I'm going to put 3 in here, I want to make sure that I have 3 LEDs that can hook up to this battery so I don't wonder later. All right. Okay, so now I can look at my paper circuit template, and as you look on it, there's a couple things. There's one orange piece that's outlined in black, and then one orange piece that's outlined in red. This is where I'm going to put my copper tape, and I'm going to put them in just one piece here, and even on this turn I have to bend my copper tape. It's just going to be one single piece that turns. And then this green circle will be where we put our battery at. So the first thing we're going to do is place our copper tape down, and if this is your first time with paper circuits, you want to, it's a little tricky, you've got to sort of peel that copper tape off. And whenever we start to peel it like this and it's got just a little bit that's peeled, we want to start sticking it to the paper. If we peel it all the way off, then it gets really hard to use, and then as you touch it more, you take that stickiness off and it doesn't want to stick to the paper. So that's kind of not very useful. So I like to peel and stick it right on down to that paper. And I always measure it and give myself a little bit extra. All right, so I used my nail to get that started. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to stick it down. This time, this one doesn't even have a bend in it, so it's really easy, the one that's outlined in black. And it's outlined in black because that is the part that's going to go to the bottom of the battery. It's what we call the ground. And the red one is what we call hot, which is, I think, is why it's red. All right, you want to make sure that you cut this inside the circle so it doesn't extend out. But you do need to make sure it goes into the circle so it doesn't stop like right there. All right? And then I'm going to add in the second piece of copper tape. And I can measure it in 2 chunks like this. And then give myself a little bit extra. And again, I'm going to do these 2 pieces in one long piece of copper tape. I'm not going to cut my copper tape. All right? So I'm going to just place it down here like this. And follow this line. And then when I get down to this corner, instead of cutting it and then putting a new piece there, that will make it so my electrons have 2 roadways and they're sort of stacked up high and they've got to climb through the glue and it doesn't work very well. But what I can do is I can actually give myself a little bit of extra space here, and then I can just press this down and bring it across onto that template. Oh no, look, I accidentally ripped mine. That's totally fine. This is perfect. I'm going to show you guys what to do because mine ripped. We're just going to take all this up just like that. And I'm going to start over. So if yours rips, you're going to want to start over. And that's because, again, we don't want to break our highway of electrons. We want to make sure they have one beautiful continuous road that they can go on. So we are just going to try that again. No big deal. It's a great learning opportunity. So we are going to just pull this guy down. And then again, at the bottom, I'm going to give myself about an inch or so. And I'm going to just press it down where I want it. It's all icky and loopy there, but I can deal with that in just a moment. I do want to make sure that this stays outside of that green circle. That is pretty important. It doesn't go into the green circle. And then I can come over to the edge of the paper and rip it off. And then I can just press down this part right here that was my corner. And I can use my thumbnail or my finger to just press these guys out like that. All right. Now, the one outlined in the red that looks like an L, that is going to be what goes to the top of the battery. So we want our long legs to go over here and our short legs to go over here. So again, you've got to make sure that you look at which leg is slightly longer. That's going to be your long leg. This one over here will be your short leg. So the one that's slightly longer is going over here. And what you can do is you can pull those legs apart. And you want I like to have them run along that copper tape as much as possible. And then you can just smush it down like this. And we can tape it down with a piece of Scotch tape. So I'm going to just put that guy down real fast. And I like Scotch tape or masking tape. I don't like to tape the LEDs in with copper tape because it's just not sticky enough. I find that it doesn't do a good enough job. All right, so when you tape it in, make sure these legs are on top of that copper tape. All right, they're not over on the paper. They're making really good contact onto that copper tape. The better the contact, the better the LED will light up and the better your circuit will work. So we'll press that down. I have to press really hard. And if you want to add more, you can add more by doing the same thing, but make sure that the long leg of your LED goes straight down and the short leg sort of comes off at that angle that goes straight to the bottom of the battery. And I have on this picture, we have a bioluminescent jellyfish. This can be a great project if you guys want to learn about bioluminescent animals. It's a great doorway to start that learning. A great doorway for so many things right now, which is awesome. All right, so we're going to press that down really good. And then we can add another one if you want. You can add more. I'm just going to stick with 2, I think, for right now. I'm a little bit worried about this one. It keeps wanting to pop up, but maybe if I press it down hard enough. And now sort of our moment of truth. You're going to take your battery. It's going to go in the circle so that you can see the letters. So your battery has 2 sides. One will have a plus sign with a whole bunch of letters. I've got some in Chinese, some in English. It tells me what kind of battery it is. And the other side looks like a whole bunch of polka dots. That's the bottom with the polka dots. So you're going to put that facing down into the bottom of the circle so I can see those letters. And then I'm going to doggy ear fold this piece up. So this guy folds like this, like a doggy ear. And when I fold it, that's going to also my switch. My little lights turn on, and I love this green because it really matches the bioluminescent green of this jellyfish right here. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little bit annoying if every time you take it off, you have to like re-put the battery in and it rolls out. So what we can do is we can add a little bit of tape right to the top piece of that. I like to just have it hanging off the tape like that. And then I can tape that battery in so it's got a spot to stick in. And then now when I pinch it, I've got that switch, which is awesome because you can turn it off or you can turn it on. And again, that switch is just folding a doggy ear like you would corner a book up. So you don't need to take the tape off. You just fold that corner up and it's going to light those guys up. All right, and you can add more of these in there if you would like to. And then we have been making ours sort of stand up so that we can really celebrate their work. So if you want to make yours stand up, what you want to do is you're going to cut around these and we'll bend it up. So I'm going to just cut around this picture of Emmette Chappelle. This picture does not do him justice, but it was the only publicly available picture in the public domain that I could use. I love finding pictures of the scientists as they are like in their work or with microscopes or with their aircraft right behind them. I love finding pictures like that. I could not find one for Emmette Chappelle, which made me a little sad. All right, so I can now fold his face piece up like this. And if you want it to stay, we also found another trick. If we cut down here, we can fold it back and it creates this nice brace. So I'll show you that. I'm just going to cut right along the side of these letters. That tells us all about his life. Like this. And then I can fold this piece sort of up at an angle to reach the back, like that. And then I can tape this in the back and it will make it so he doesn't flop around and whatnot. He's like nice and stable. I can just put a little piece of tape on the back and he is standing up right there like that. And we've been doing the same thing for sort of the spotlight of their work. So I could cut my jellyfish out, and how well you want to cut it out is up to you. If you want to cut it out is up to you. Just a great way to sort of focus on the science part and bring it to life a little. I'm going to cut a little bit around these tentacles of the jellyfish. Like this. And you do want to make sure you're not going to cut over these lines, because if I cut these lines, I will cut my circuit and it will no longer be a beautiful circle. All right, so we want to make sure we don't do that. But we can bend them up. All right, that is something that we can do. So I can come through here like this, and again, I'm not going to cut across there. That would break my beautiful working circuit. But I could cut it up so that I can bend this part straight up like that, and then my LEDs are still working for me. We can do the same thing that we did over on this side to make it a little bit stronger or to stand up. And when we do that, first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tape this part together, just so that it's a little bit more sturdy when I do that strip to hold it up. All right, so I'm just going to tape around here like that, and then I'm going to cut a little bit along this white line so I can bend it in. All right, so we'll just cut along this white line to bend it in to hold up our jellyfish. So it's going to look like this. And I maybe cut this a little bit too close to the edge. I'm just going to add a piece of tape. No big deal. Maybe that doesn't bother you. Maybe it does. It's up to you. I kind of like having it still as like a paper outline. So I'm just going to roll a piece of tape around that. Like that. And then I can tape this to the back here. Just like this. And now I have this awesome little thing of Emmette Chappelle. Let's make sure it's working. Yep, still working, which is amazing. And if it's not working for you, there's a couple things you can try. One of them is to flip your battery over. Maybe you put the LEDs in the wrong way. If you have multiple LEDs in there and one works and one doesn't work, and then you flip your battery over and the one that didn't work now works, and the one that did work now doesn't work, that means you have to flip one of your LEDs, because you've got one that has a long leg and then one that has a short leg on the same wire. And that means that they can't go through that slide to make light. All right, I'm going to check in for comments or questions.
Let's see what we got. Naomi's here!
Hi, Naomi!
And Naomi, yes, you did just miss everything.
Oh, no!
So, but don't worry.
But you can always go backwards anytime.
And you can come to Zoom with us.
That's the beautiful thing about YouTube. You can just zoom it backwards.
Just come on over.
I know.
And we have Griffin, who is doing a lot of little emojis. Thank you for the emojis, Griffin.
I like emojis. They're good.
Abel found and lost his sheet, or lost and found his sheet.
Oh, good job that you found it.
Sadie was here.
Oh, we miss Sadie. That's too bad.
Maybe she's still here.
Maybe she's still here. Is it still working?
Yes. But I don't see any other questions.
Well, fabulous. So if you want, you are more than welcome to come join us over in Zoom for our lunch, as we have lunch and we share our projects, and we've been doing all sorts of other things. We've been sharing all sorts of things, having fun with backgrounds and all that good stuff. So we'll be over there. We'll say goodbye to our YouTube friends. And again, if you want to help support us, you can find us over at patreon.com/RosieResearch. And we will be doing some summer programming. We're just not sure what it's going to look like quite yet. We're going to take a little break first. All right. Goodbye, my YouTube friends. And hello, my Zoom friends.